What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today we have the Season 4 Reloaded update, so I'm giving you guys more of my top 5 updated setups here after that update. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a like for the algorithm and subscribe for more, and let's hop into this. The very first gun we're going to be taking a look at here today is going to be the Lockman 556. They did actually update the fire range here, by the way, to actually show us plate values and stuff, so it's actually really cool. But this is a super low recoil gun. So, I mean, very easy to be able to use. At close, medium, and long range, just gotta, push down the stick a little bit. Now, the first attachment I happen to have on this is going to be the X10 Havoc 90. This is going to help us out with that horizontal and vertical recoil control. We switched away from running like something like the Harbinger suppressor over to this here. This is definitely going to help us out more so because we didn't really need all the different things that were coming with that suppressor. This can be more effective ultimately to make us more accurate here in game. And the tuning on this thing here is going to be a plus 0.80 all the way maxed out for recoil stabilization, and then a plus 0.21 there on the bottom for that recoil control increase. Next up, we happen to have the 15.9 Lockman wrap barrel. This is definitely a must use with that recoil control, bullet velocity, damage range, and hipfire accuracy. 100% recommend for you guys to use this over any of these other ones in here. It is undoubtedly the most effective way to run this gun. And the tune on that here is going to be a plus 0.40 and a plus 0.15 there on the bottom, giving us a little bit more damage range and recoil steadiness. After that, we're going to go down here. We're actually going to throw on the 5.56 high velocity rounds. So we're actually kind of taking essentially off the underbarrel, which would have been like the F-Tac Ripper 56. We're switching it out here with the 5.56 high velocity rounds, just increasing our overall bullet velocity, as that is something we technically would have gotten running that Harbinger suppressor, but we're not going to be running that anymore. So we're going to be doing that as we have stabilized the gun out. Otherwise, with that muzzle, now we're going to be getting more increased bullet velocity with this. But these down here are going to be tuned with a negative 0.70 all the way for recoil smoothness, and all the way down here maxed out on the bottom for recoil steadiness. So that's how that is tuned. Of course, we got to go through on that 60 round mag. I am a 60 round mag kind of guy, and 60 is just going to be the most effective way to run this gun, just kind of flat out anyways. So I'd highly recommend you guys actually run that. Don't really ever go for that 40. I've never really seen people run that. Just go for the 60. Call it a day. Lastly, we're gonna go up in here and we're gonna throw on the Aim Op V4. So this is gonna be a tried and true precision sight here in this game. A lot of people really enjoy using this, myself included. I've also actually kind of gone over here and ran something a little bit different sometimes, the SE Recharge DX. This is pretty much the exact same thing as the Aim Op. It looks identical. You can also tune it the exact same way, so it's not going to give you sort of any difference, minus like visually, do you like the look of this more than the Aim Op, etc. That's really all it comes down to. The tune on this here is going to be negative 1.35, and all they max out there on the bottom for that far distance. So this is my full build here for the Lockman 556. Now we're going to take a look here at the Cast-Off 545. So this is an elite assault rifle here in game. We have the 545, the 7.62. I mean, both are really solid, but this is definitely going to be pretty much like the better version of the Cast-Off ARs to run. So this is a really solid one, but they're close range. I mean, super low recoil, super low recoil. I mean, arguably almost easier to control than the Lockman. First attachment on here is going to be the X10 Havoc 90. It's going to do the same exact thing as it does for that Lockman 556 for that horizontal and vertical recoil control. I recommend for you guys to actually have this on there. The tune on this here is going to be a negative 0.31 and a plus 0.26. Kind of give us a little bit more recoil control and just a tad bit more ADS speed. As you guys can see, this thing is pretty much a laser beam, so we don't need to tune it up there. After that, we're going to go up in here and run the IG-K30 406mm barrel. This is going to give us that increase in recoil control, bullet velocity, damage range, and hipfire accuracy. Definitely the best one in here out of these 4 different barrels. Highly recommend you guys stick with this one here exclusively. This has been the go-to for at least a little while now. The tune on this here is going to be a plus 0.18 and negative 0.21. And after that, we're going to go down here and once again run the 5.45 high velocity rounds, not the 5.56 high velocity rounds, but they are the high velocity rounds nonetheless. So the increases your bullet velocity, kind of does a similar sort of thing to what we're doing with the Lockman 556 in terms of just increasing your overall bullet velocity since we're not running that Harbinger suppressor. The tune on this here is going to be negative 0.29 and a negative 5.23. We're of course going to go ahead and down here and run that 60 round mag. This is another one of those guns where I'd recommend the 60 exclusively instead of even trying to use the 45. I do not believe the 45 to be really good in any capacity for this gun. I mean, you could probably get away with it in solos or something like that, but otherwise I just go for the 60 even if I'm playing solos, because that's like my main thing. So I just run that. And then lastly, of course, the Aim Op V4. We'll scroll over here and show you guys this. Like I said, you can run the Aim Op V4 or the SE Recharge DX. So it's pretty much like up in the air and like what you want to be able to run between those two. They're going to do the exact same thing. They're just going to look slightly different. but the tuning on that here is going to be a negative 2.61, and all they max out there on the bottom for that far distance. I always max out my far distance for my assault rifles. That's just kind of how I have those tuned pretty much 99.100% of the time. So this is my full build here for the 545. Next up, we're taking a look here at the ISO 45. This gun did, technically speaking, catch a tad bit of a nerf here within the update, but I have a build that's going to help you out with the recoil control here specifically. So this should make your life a lot easier to be able to hit those shots, and it still kills incredibly fast. So look at that, close range done, medium range done. I mean, it's pretty simple to be able to use this thing. You just got to pull down on that stick with this setup and you're pretty much good to go. So our first attachment here is going to be the Spiral V3.5 flash hider. This does give us that muzzle flash concealment and recoil steadiness, which are two things that are actually pretty crucial for this gun. The iron sights are not necessarily that easy to be able to see out of, so when we can actually conceal the muzzle flash, that's actually pretty crucial. And then also, I mean, stabilizing out the recoil is definitely something we need to do for this gun, because it does love to kick up here quite substantially. But the tune on that here is being negative 0.35 and a plus 0.27. Next, we're going to go up in here to the barrel section, run the 7EX Raptor V2, aid on sight speed, movement speed, and hip recoil control. You don't really have to pay attention too much to these things. If there is somehow a better barrel to be able to run besides this, then we will, of course, update it here, but there's nothing else at the moment that is indeed better to run apart from this Raptor barrel. So we run that. The tune on that here is being negative 0.23 and a negative 0.22. That's that. Going to go down here, throw on the 45 round mag. This thing comes with 30 round stock, which is definitely not acceptable for a full loadout gun, so we always got to run that 45. And then we're going to move on back here. We're going to run the EXP shear here for our rear grip, sprint to fire speed, and aim down sight speed. A pretty standard thing. We're just trying to speed this gun up as much as possible for those close quarters engagements, and so this is definitely something that's going to help us out with that. The tune on that is going to be all they max out for that aim down sight speed, and all they max out down here on the bottom for sprint to fire speed. So a pretty easy tune right there. Lastly, we're going to go up in here, run the demo fade tac stock, that aim walking speed and sprint speed. So this is a really solid stock to be able to run. Just makes you feel a little bit more agile, a little bit more mobile, and I absolutely love having increased aim walking speed. Allows me to strafe back and forth very fast when I'm trying to aim down sights, because obviously you're trying to ADS here quite a lot in this game, so that definitely does help out. The tune on that here is actually going to be a negative 2.06 and negative 1.39. So that's my full tune right there. And this is my full build here for the ISO 45 after the update. All right, next up, we're going to be taking a look here at the TAC 56. This is a really fun gun to be able to use. Very accurate. It's not like the hardest hitting gun in the game, but it is incredibly accurate, which is something we do really like. So here's it in the firing range. Pretty simple. It'll take you about close range, medium range, and long range. You get a nice little headshot in there. It takes people out very quickly. First attachment up for this gun today is going to be that Harbinger D20. We're going to get that increase in sound suppression, bullet velocity, damage range, and recoil smoothness. I know there's a variety of ways to be able to run the TAC 56, but this is like your long range, like most effective thing to be able to run here for like regular Warzone, like non-Warzone ranked. So that's why we're running this. I know there's a few different ways you guys can run this gun, but this is how we're doing it for this right here. The tune on that here is going to be a plus 0.81 and a plus 0.48. Next up, we're going to go in here to the barrel section for the 17.5 Tundra Pro barrel. Damage range increase, hip fire accuracy, and bullet velocity. All really great things. We absolutely love that. The tune on that here is going to be a plus 0.15 and a plus 0.10, so pretty easy tune. Then we're going to go on down here and we're going to run that beautiful F-Tac Ripper 56. The thing is, the first time we've actually ran that here within this video. But aiming idle stability, hip fire accuracy, and recoil stabilization. Great attachment. It runs pretty much great on almost any assault rifle you put it on. The tune on that here is going to be a negative 0.36 and a plus 0.18. And then we're going down here, throw on that 60 round mag. You guys really should probably stay away from the 40 here once again. 60 is just kind of the way to go, especially since this thing doesn't have a super high damage output. Definitely recommend 60, have those extra rounds in the magazine. And lastly, we are actually running the SZ Recharge. So I actually switched it out for this gun, and I really enjoy running it. You guys, like I said, can run this, the AIMOT V4. It is entirely up to you. Not going to make a difference in your gun statistics, but it's just a visual thing. So the tune on that here is going to be a negative 1.55 and a negative 1.95 maxed out, aka that far distance. So this is my full builds here for the TAC 56. And last but not least here, one of my tried and true builds here for the VazNev 9 case. This thing actually technically got a little bit of a nerf here within the update, but it is still an incredible SMG that you guys need to be using. So I'll show you guys here close range. Very easy to be able to use. incredibly easy to use at medium range as well. Just got to pull down on the stick a little bit and you are good to go. All right, first attachment here is going to be the Spiral V3.5 flash hide. We ran this on the ISO, so we're going to be running this here once again on this. Recoil smoothness or steadiness, my bad, and the muzzle flash concealment definitely helps out when you're trying to be able to obviously not have that muzzle flash and stabilize the gun out. So I'd highly recommend we try that or run that. This is going to be a negative 0.74 for this tune and a plus 0.17 down here on the bottom. After that, we're going to go up in here and we're going to run the Schlager PEQ box just to give us that increase in ADS speed. It's like essentially the 1MW laser for a lot of these other guns. This is what it's called here for this gun. So I'd recommend this. I actually really enjoy running it. It makes me feel a little bit more speedy, and I'm like ADSing fast. I mean, that's very crucial in close range. The tune on that here is going to be a negative 0.32 and a negative 14.81. Keep in mind, this is more or less like a relative thing. As long as you get it down to this relative area, it does not have to be exact. After that, we're going to go down here, run the 45 round mag. Like I've said previously, 30 round stock is not acceptable, so we're running the 45. This is pretty much a given on any gun. You should be running an extended magazine. After that, we're going to go back in here for the True Tac grip, sprint fire speed and aim down sight speed. We definitely need this. I mean, it's just one of those things to speed the gun up and make it better close range. The tune on that here is going to be a negative 0.39 and a negative 0.15. And then for our last attachment, the O-Trees at stock, aim walking speed and sprint speed. You guys have seen me use this exact build here a couple times. This is one of my favorite ones to be able to run. It is my try and true, like, stable build that like is good for everything. So absolutely love that, but that is what we have that. And here's gonna be the tune for it, a negative 0.13 and negative 1.39. So that's my full build there for the VAST of 9K. That's been my top 5 after the update. If you guys enjoyed, give it a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys all later.